Do not fear the fire. Okay? All right? I've learned something about life, and it's that, what do you really believe? Do you really believe what you think you believe? Do you really want what you think you want? Because there's going to come a time in our lives, whether it's in our nation, it's in our personal lives, or even in church life, when everything you believe is going to be challenged. Maybe it's your marriage, your faith. And where do you fall when that challenge comes? Do you quit? Do you walk away? Do you give up? Or you hold on to the promise that God gave you? You hold on to the promise that you made. You get what I'm saying? There's so many times it's going to come. If you haven't noticed, the entire church for a while now has been under a massive spiritual attack. But our nation, our society, for generations has been under attack. You know, there's not a single family, every person I know has been impacted somewhere to where you got to make a choice. To stand, to run, to hide, to fight. But the thing about God, Jesus is kind of funny. Because the way you win with Jesus isn't the fight. It's the surrender. When you set out to build a ministry like Fifth Division is intended to be in being built, when you set out to change your life, I mean to honor God, when a leader rises up in a nation to bring that nation back to God, to do what's right, you better expect that the enemy is going to come. Okay? And I wrote this down. How do I got to hear it? I said, the first lesson you learn when you're going to change your life, when you're going to do what's right, is you got to understand that you have chosen to stand face to face with the devil and say, I'm not yours.
That's right.
And you can't have me, you can't have my nation, you can't have my family, you can't have my ministry. It's just the way the devil works. That's the way the devil works. Say you're going to change your life and you're going to walk away from your past and watch the devil. The moment you say that, Jeff, why does I say I was going to do the right thing and I'm trying to make everything come against me?
It's expected.
Yeah. Service called Do Not Fear the Fire. And honestly, it's about the church. I'm going to show this in our nation, I'm going to show this in our lives, but it's really about the church. Because I want you to know what I stand for. I want you to know what I believe in. And some of us have had these conversations one-on-one, and we had it as a group in a long time. And we got new players in play, we got new changes. I want to make sure that you know where I am and who I am and where this is going. Because if you look at some things on face value, you can never judge a book by its cover, as they say. You can't choose the move of God when everything is going wrong. Remember the movie we showed of Paul in here, those of you who saw the movie Paul? I mean, the Christians are being taken, all right, and they're being given it to the circus, to the animals being murdered. But meanwhile, if you go a couple of spaces over, they're sent Paul with the guy who run the prison, and they're having this great conversation about the daughter who lived. Because the daughter who got healed, and the conversation about how to change the world, and Paul, while death is happening. So here's the point. In any situation, there's life and death. In any situation, there's hope and there's none hope. But the whole thing is where do we fall? Where do we stand when the fire comes? If you make a choice to be different, the fire's going to come. It's going to come. Let me see if this actually works today. All right, Joel Richardson, he's a Christian author. He wrote this on the Twitter this weekend. He says, no one living today needs to be convinced that the world is fundamentally unjust, corrupt, and broken. They need to be convinced that the one who made all things will indeed make all things new. Christians, proclaim the good news and let your light shine in this dark hour. I don't think a Christian in America would have a problem with that statement. And because Joel is right. All right? The world needs to be convinced that the God who made it is still in control and He will make all things new. Right? I mean, we are called to do that. Here's the deal. Here's the problem. But what happens when it's the church? What happens when it's Christians that are the thing that is unjust, corrupt, and broken? This is a video. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Marcia got it. What happens when it's the church that's unjust, corrupt, and broken?
Turn it.
When I gave my life to the Lord, I was a stripper, and I made a decision to completely change my life. I had no idea where to go to church, what to do, how to dress. And one day I was sitting out at a coffee shop, and some girls were walking around, and they were telling everybody about their church. Well, I was so excited. I thought, this is going to be it. This is going to tell me where I can go. Maybe they'll be my friends. And instead, they took one look at me and the way I was dressed and how I looked and gave me a dirty look and passed me over.
I was going into 4th grade, and that summer my parents sat me down and told me that they were getting a divorce. And I remember being blown away by that. And then on top of that, we showed up at church over the next few weeks, and I just remember feeling this difference there, that we weren't supposed to be there. Like, you know, we had divorce slapped around our chest. And for me, it made me feel like there was something wrong with me.
I trusted Christ when I was in high school. Decided to go to Bible college so I could figure out some of the answers to my questions as far as the Bible and God and making that work practically. During my senior year, I really felt like instead of getting answers and getting help with some of my questions, I got rejected, in so much as even the college president calling me out in one of the classes and basically saying, if you still have questions this late in the game, you just don't get it.
I grew up in a church for 20 years, and when I went to college, I made a few mistakes. I got pregnant out of wedlock. I knew there would be trouble, I knew there would be gossip, but I never expected a phone call from the pastor asking me to resign my membership.
Well, for the first time in my life, I was really coming back to God. I was trying to really reconnect with Him, and my life was a mess. I was going through a divorce, I was in debt, I didn't have any friends. And so I actually wrote a letter to a friend of mine that I knew from high school. I knew that she was a pretty strong Christian, and I thought maybe we could start a friendship. So I sent her a letter, and a couple weeks later, I got a package back in the mail, and I opened it up, and there was no letter. It was just a pamphlet on why divorce is a sin.
Well, I struggled with same-sex attraction all my life, and being a Christian and brought up in a Christian home, Christian school, I had difficulties dealing with it, and went to my pastor because I knew there was some kind of issue with me and I had some problems, and instead of receiving spiritual guidance, I received hatred, and I was condemned, and I was asked to leave the church.
There came a point in my marriage where things got really rocky. I made a decision to trust the people at the church and start telling them about what was happening. And I expected them to try and understand. I expected them to help, to accept us broken like we were, but instead they judged us, they judged me, they blamed me. It was definitely not okay to not be okay.
I was 5 years old. I was going to Sunday school, and I seen the statue of Jesus, and I knew my grandmother really liked it, so I took it from the church and gave it to my grandmother. The next Sunday, whenever I went back to church, the preacher took me aside and told me I was going to go to hell for stealing. And it really scared me, and that really turned me off. And I asked my mom if I had to go to church anymore, and she said not if I didn't want to. So I stayed away from church for 31 years. And I pretty much went to hell for the next 31 years.
It made me feel rejected.
I was totally crushed.
To this day, it affects my family.
What good did that do anybody?
God forgave me, but the church couldn't.
I wish He would have treated me like a brother instead of a piece of garbage.
We need to be examples. and not tell people what they have to do and what they should do, but just show them what we do.
I know my experience in church and growing up in church and being around church isn't the same as everybody. And there's a whole bunch of people in churches all over this country who do not see that. But then there's a whole nation of people. Okay? I don't know, about 27% of people actually attend church. When you get inside the people who have left church, why they don't go to church, we just watched it. And of the 27% that go to church, 50% of the people who are out of church, this is their story. So we want to be a thing that, as this church, to go capture. We should pray for Shelly. I think she's coughing up a person or something.
You'll lift the battery.
But growing up in church, being the kid from the wrong family, the wrong side of the tracks, mother, the drug dealer, the drug addict, state mental hospital, the 4 husbands, growing up in that environment, it shapes your view of church, right? It shapes your view of Christians. And the thing is I ran to church. I ran to love. I didn't reject the church. I didn't attack the church. Even when I was done wrong, somebody did me wrong, you shift, you pivot to somebody who doesn't do you wrong. Because I was not going to go be what my mom was. I was not going to be what my families were. I wanted to be part of what was good. But honestly, that something led to what has become Fifth Vision. And what I've learned is all the things in your life, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the God stuff and the ungod stuff, God is in all of it. And somehow through all of these things in your life, it is leading you somewhere. And everybody's looking for their purpose. All right, start telling me from beginning to end your life story. I'll tell you where you're going. You connect the dots. You lay it. There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. But in church, if you're following God, you're going to be a preacher one day, or a worship leader, or a Sunday school teacher. Other than that, you don't have a purpose. Well, that was another reason that people left church. There's no place for me. People are ashamed of my story. There's no room for me. We got Bible studies going on in this church that nobody knows about. And that's beautiful. Because they're going on in people's homes with people that they've connected with. Shelley's one of them with a bunch of the ladies. Some of them are here regularly, some of them are not, and that's okay. But the thing is, these are the things that are happening. Dave, I think, is starting up something too. These are some things I can put out. But here's the deal. I meet with fathers of the church that don't go to this church. Why? It ain't about me. It's about it. If you bring healing to one person, you bring healing to an entire family. And if you can get a person on the right track, well, if they're excited and his passion is real, it will. So when you show me your story, I will show you, God will show you where He's leading you. Because when you're growing up and it's been a bad life, you hate it. God why? God why? God why? Well, on the other side of that anger and the thing, when you let God heal, there is something beautiful. What is on the other side of that? Who you are. I love when Jessica talks about the loving on the people at the nursing home. She said, what she said earlier, I love my job. But Jessica's at times has had a hard time in life, right? People have treated you wrong, right? Unjustly, right? But it's taught you how to love, hadn't it? See, you can get angry and you can destroy because you've been done wrong, or now when you got a bunch of people that are old and they're older, they're sick, and they need that unconditional love. Well, you know how to give it because God has taught you.
Especially I'm with the special needs now, but
Right.
people just looks over them. They don't even.
But because you were looked over, because God loved you through it, who are you today? Do you get what's happened here? We get what's happened watching you, and it's beautiful. You get it? All right, all right. What if you were perfect and perfect and perfect, perfect? What kind of heart would you have then? Well, the thing about being perfect, the thing about our nation, the thing about church is, man, we are living in chaos in society. And that chaos has found its way into the church. And there's a story in the Bible that mirrors exactly today. Now, there's several that will mirror exactly today. But this one is specifically, it captures the heart of what's happening today. Not the actions, but the heart. And it was written, I guess, for Israel during that day, but it was written prophetically for the future. Okay, so it's speaking to us. And it is uncanny how much they mirror each other. And if you got your Bibles, don't you do? We're going to be in the book of Micah. We'll have it on the screen, of course. So this is Micah chapter 7. Can we pause that? Just kidding. We want to pray for you. We don't know what demon you're trying to get out. And this is uncanny. Verse 1. What misery is mine? I am like the one who gathers summer fruit at the gleaning of the vineyard. There is no cluster of grapes to eat, none of the early figs that I crave. What he's capturing is society. And this is what he's saying. There is no peace, there is no innocence, nothing is pure, nothing is real, everything leaves you hungry, nothing quenches the thirst. This is a miserable time to live. Okay? As this chapter plays out through the first 7 verses, it gives the view, it gives the most heart-rendering criticism of a society that's ever been given in the Bible. All right? Now, that society in his day was corrupted. The government was corrupted, the church was corrupted, the people were corrupted, the heart was corrupted, people's minds were corrupted. Now, the part where it says nothing to eat, see, we lose this in translation, but in that day it was a metaphor, and the metaphor was this, that people lack honesty and integrity. There was no honesty, there was no integrity in that culture. The grape and the fig, it's also a metaphor for a righteous man. It's saying, I could not find a righteous man. I could not find a good man. I could not find a godly man. Verse 2, the faithful have been swept from the land, not one upright person remains. And what it's talking about here is a godly man, a godly people. It says, the godly have perished. All right, that's the word it uses in the King James Version. Godly people have perished. The godly people were purposely attacked, destroyed, exterminated. They perished at the hands of what was evil and corrupt. Not only evil and corrupt, but you know how you can be, there's one way, there's evil that a person does by hurting somebody, what they say, what they do, but there's also a corruption when you don't do what's right. If you see evil and you don't stop it, you don't get involved. So there's sins of commission and there's sins of omission. When you know the right thing you should do and you don't do it, you have sinned. This is their culture. It says that everybody lies in wait to shed blood. They hunt each other with nets. And what it's saying is everybody there. No, I got it, Shelly. What it's saying is everybody in that culture was setting snares and traps for each other. All right? They wait for each other to fall or trip or slip up. And as soon as they fall or as soon as they slip up, and usually they set the trap for the person, then they attack, they devour, they destroy one another. That's today. Everybody watching the TV and the politics. And if they don't got nothing to trip you up, fall you with, they'll lie. They'll manipulate. Now both hands, verse 3, both hands are skilled in doing evil. The ruler demands gift. The judge accepts bribes. The powerful dictate what they desire. They all conspire together. The best of them is like a briar. The most upright, worse than a thorn hedge. It said even the good people, they're nothing better than a briar patch. And what's going on here? He's talking about the government. He's talking about leaders in the land and in the church. That they were egotistical. They were narcissists. They ruled society, but their justice was perverted. Okay? The corruption was at the highest levels of government, the highest levels of society, all the way down to the common man. Okay? The very men who were supposed to bring peace, order, law, fairness, were the very people who were corrupted. Now, it goes on to say this. Second part of verse 4, the day God visits you has come. The day of your watchman sounds the alarm. Now is the time of your confusion. So there's going to be a day of reckoning. as I like to call it, because I don't know if it's so much judgment what God's doing in America, but there is a day of reckoning where you're going to face the corruption. If you're corrupt in the church, you corrupt outside the church. If you're evil, God is exposing it.
Yeah.
All right? He is. Now, that was the day of judgment, because God's watching. So we think God's not going to come. God didn't stop us before. We can continue this corruption. We can continue this evil heart. But God says that day is today. And you watch around what's happening in our nation. It's happening. Okay? All right. Now, if things weren't bad enough in the government, if things weren't good enough out there in public, because this just happens at the next town, in the next city. This happens at the next church. Then it says this about their society. And this is deep. Do not trust a neighbor, Micah says. Do not put confidence in a friend. Even with the woman who lies in your embrace, guard your words. Guard the words of your lips. For a son dishonors his father. A daughter rises up against her mother. A daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the members of his own household. What it's saying is, there is no honor, there is no integrity, and you can't trust nobody because your words will be twisted, you will be attacked. You can't even trust your own spouse. How many people know people with marriages like that? Or been in marriages like that? Raise your hand. Had friends like that. Had family members. That's the society we live in. Who do you trust? Who do you not trust? Who can you let your heart out to? Who do you vent to? Who do you not vent to? In that society, you couldn't. Because any word you spoke, it's going to be used against you. People are going to turn on you. They're going to betray you. They're going to deceive you, manipulate you. It's just the way life was. Now, this wasn't so much an individual problem as just the way it was. Because there was a spirit on their culture. There was a spirit on the people. Okay? And this is what Micah's talking about. He ain't blaming the people. He ain't being critical of the people. He's making an observation. This is the way life is. Now, this is the day in which we live. And that spirit is absolutely undermining authority, honor, integrity, leadership, government, church, friendships, marriages. Now, Micah was pretty wise. He was real wise. Because he had to look beyond what the culture was doing. He had to not put faith in what he was seeing. Okay? He chose to believe and live in the Spirit of God. Alright? Which says it's not supposed to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. He chose to trust God when everybody else had turned their back on God. He chose to be different in the church and outside. He chose to be different in society. And you know what happens when you're different? Man, you're going to get attacked. You're going to get attacked. You're going to get ruled. And what did he do? Was he upset with the people who lied about him, who destroyed him? Was he so angry that he gave up and quit? No. That's not what he did here. Verse 7 tells us what he did here. But as for me, I watch and hope for the Lord. I wait for my Savior. My God will hear me. He cried out to God. God, don't let this be our legacy. Don't let this be our destiny. Don't let this be. He cried out. He waited. And he watched for God. Sometimes it's all you got. We cry out to God and we wait 40 years for that person to change. Now, they don't change, but here's the deal. They might not change, but you know what? You don't have to live that. You don't have to be that. But God will come. And what Jeremiah, yeah, that actually fits into this too. What Micah was waiting on was a great awakening where society was going to wake up. God was going to come, society's going to wake up, and everything was going to change. Now, those who are crying out to God, these people will come to God. There's some that ain't going to awaken to it. They're going to fight it, and we get that. But the thing is God was going to come. There was a great awakening that happened in the people. And what happens in a great awakening is the truth you cannot deny anymore, because the truth, God makes it relevant. God puts it in front of you. God puts it in front of the nation. And He can expose all the evil in our government. And then we got a choice to make. Do we believe it? Do we not believe it? Do we trust God? Do we not trust God? Where do we fall in this? But what God does, when God does a great awakening, it comes in two parts. Okay? Two parts. The part he does and the part we do. He's going to reach out to us. He's going to change things. He's going to show himself. But do we rise up with him? Do we rise up in love? Do we rise up in truth? Do we rise up in righteousness? Do we change our lives? Do we let God transform who we are? Because I'm going to tell you, when God arises, when God shows himself, when you make a choice to change, what does God do? What does the devil do? He rises up. You may not rise up with God, but the devil's going to rise up to oppose God. So you think you can sit silent? We think we can sit silent when God's come, when God speaks, and God moves? You're crazy. You're crazy. You can't avoid it. In fact, it'll double down on you. The anger, the hate. So you got to choose. Great awakenings. Now, our country has had a couple of great awakenings, but I believe that our society, well, in my society, they needed an awakening. In our society, we need a great awakening. Because if God doesn't come, we're gonna destroy ourselves. We got to worry about Iran or Russia or whoever the flavor is, that China. We're going to destroy ourselves. So who's going to rise up? Where is the church today? Where is the church? When my Bible tells me that by his stripes we're healed, why aren't people being healed? Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We pray for them, we send them out the door, they're going out the same. They're faking it. They're trying to fake it. They're trying to find it. Where are people being healed? And where's the church that is absolutely investing in people? I don't mean giving them a sermon and sending them home or a song and stuff. Where is that? Because I'm going to be honest with you. We don't need to start this church. I didn't need to start this church because I know where a church is in this town. They got good preaching. I know where there's a church that's got good music. I know when Drew was growing up, he's at work this morning, but when Drew was growing up, I knew where to find the good children's program. Are you beginning to see the problem here? No? I know where to go where they got a good pastor. Well, he preaches really strong and powerful, and he makes you shout, he makes you sweat. Woo! But you go home the same as you did when you walked in. You go home feeling better about your life, but nothing changed. And if nothing changed, was it real? Or did you just feel better about it? You know what I got tired of growing up? I got tired of all the amens and hallelujahs and praise God. And I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Because, I mean, it was a good church. They spoke it. But I watched them before they got into church, and I saw them during the week. Where was the amens? Where was the hallelujah? Where was the passion and fire after they walked out? I didn't want that. And so that's part of my life. And is where do you find the real thing? And God help us find something more. Because something more is what's going to bring people back to church. Because most of them left, not because they got hurt. They left because it's no different than life. It's no different than what's on TV. Give me something more. And that's kind of where this has led to us trying to at least find what I'm talking about. So what grew out of this is fifth vision. All right, now we'll get specific to the church. Okay, guys? I want you to know where I stand on everything. Listen to me. I want you to know. That way, 2 months down the road, 2 years down the road, you know where I'm at. This is my heart. This is what I'm about. This is what we've built and what we're building. And it's what I will not compromise. I won't compromise it. I won't walk away from it. And you're not going to change it in me. You can help me grow, maybe see what I don't see, and I'll help you grow. But I can't change because this is from God. The name itself came from God. Who would name himself Fifth Vision? There's a purpose behind it. It isn't to be different to be different. It captures something. And what does it capture? A heart. So fifth vision is what I call say the word for me so I won't say it wrong.
Prophetic.
I can't say that word right. Because I would say
Pathetic.
yeah. It's pathetic ministry. Because
You did it again.
I know. I can't say the word. But here's the deal. I just didn't want to start another church like everybody else. I saw something that was wrong. I saw something that God had called my heart to. I saw broken people hurting. I saw broken people not healing. God, how do you heal? How do you change it? And God, look, the church is going down the wrong road. The nation's going down the wrong road. We're feeding right into the end times. And if the Antichrist comes today, 99% of the church is going to follow the Antichrist because they can't discern right from wrong and true and not true. They can't discern what's holy and unholy. No, they can say amen all day long. But man, when we watch how easy it is to deceive a nation, wow. Wow. So God's saying, God, how do we prepare for what's coming? Because God, I see it coming. Every pastor in America sees it coming. But who's preparing the people for what's to come? And I will tell you, if the Bible plays out the way it's written, there's going to come a day you better have put something more in your kids. Jesus is love, Jesus is love. I get it, He is, and He saves us. But what's going to happen when they come and drag Him out to cut His head off? Or your grandkid. Because that's coming. When the global government, one world order, takes over. And they almost had it. Are your children prepared to stand in front of a man that's going to pick their head off? It says the people of God will be beheaded for their faith. What was happening with ISIS and all the people in Iran and Libya? They were being beheaded and they had to stand for their faith. They refused to deny their faith. They asked men and women, denounce your faith in Christ, or we're going to cut your child in half. You want to go watch the videos? They're on the internet. You can't run from it. You can't deny it didn't happen. It was happening, not ones or twos, by the thousands, by the 10,000s. This stuff, in fact, in Iraq, with ISIS, what happened to 800,000 Christians? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But every time, you can't find a story where they deny Christ. And what about you and your moms? The moms of that day. You're going to have children. Are you going to take the mark of the beast to make sure your children get fed? Or do you have the faith to trust God with your life and their life? Are churches prepared their people for this? No. Not doomsday. I'm talking prophecy. Here we go. The world's dark. It's getting darker by the day. And the church of Christianity seems to be more heartless, powerless, and corrupted. And Jesus said in Revelation 3, you've heard this, Jesus said to the church of Laodicea, the church at the times, you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I cancel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire. What Jesus is saying, you got it all wrong, church of the 21st century. You got it all wrong. It ain't about your show. It ain't about your programs. It ain't about your good preaching or your contract or your TV show. It ain't about how many tens of thousands are coming to your church. We got something wrong. You're wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. What do we have wrong? Those are Jesus' words. So fifth vision is my answer, our answer to the challenge that Jesus gave. The warning is you got it all wrong. The challenge is buy from me something more. Buy from me something deeper. Let me take you deeper. Let me do something in you that preaching alone can't do. Okay? Here's the deal. If all you live for is my preaching, you're going to die there. Why do I spend so much time one-on-one with people? Investing in people. Talking with people. For that reason. Because where do you work out everything? Where does everything, the sermon is one thing, but where do you work it out? How does it usually takes an investment. It usually takes mentoring. It usually takes, we call it counseling. I just call it empowering people to find themselves in God's story. If pastors and churches aren't taking it deeper, then people are going to die. A spiritual death. All right? Well, what is this vision to do? To restore the love, spirit, and glory of God. I mean, oh man, I love a church that says they're friendly. Hey, are we a friendly church? Well, they said that about us. I'm going to close the door and go home. No, it can't be a friendly church. God didn't tell us to be friendly. Jesus didn't die for us to be a friendly church. He died for us to love. Love. There's a difference between being friendly and loving. Love will be up with you at 3 o'clock in the morning. Love will drive from one city to another. Love will pour out their heart. You don't do that for friendly. Because, you understand what I'm getting at. The redeem, restore the love, spirit, and glory. Where is the glory of God in His people? Seriously, I'll say that God's Not Dead at the movie, the first one come out, another movie, God's Not Dead. I mean, it sold out for 3 months. Every show in this Hartburg 16, 3 months. Woo! People were shouting and clapping, and they went outside, and where did all the people that were shouting and clapping at the movie go? Man, that was the glory of God in there. Until the movie was over and we left the theater, and where's that love? Where's that joy? Where's that passion? Where is that fire? A vision to redeem the heart and mind of mankind. Who's going to help people heal? Who's going to get inside their head, their heart, and their lives and show them God in it? That's us. That's us. And what I figured out, why most people can't get it right, it isn't that they're weak. It isn't that they're bad people. They don't get it. They don't understand. Sit down and help them see it. And then the light comes on and they can overcome it. But we want to sing a song, give them a sermon, pat them on the butt at the altar, and pat them on the butt after they go out the door. That's not Christianity. That's not how Jesus did it. He made an investment into those 12. And he walked with it. And they went out messed up. You know what he did? He put them right back together and he got, come on, there's a different way of doing this. The vision to go deeper, to equip and empower you and connect you to release the power and authority and purpose of God in your life. That's what it's about. Because here's the deal. Fifth vision, if we look like another church, and if anything comes into this church that tries to make us like any other church, no! No!
Yes.
No! Yes. No. Yes. I knew you were going to say that. You always do that to me. Me and you are going to fight in a minute. But I love you, little man. It can't be like anybody else. Because when God illuminates you and He shows you something about life, about church, about God, about Himself, you can't go back to what once was. You've got to live in what God has revealed. I really want us to teach church to rethink how we're doing ministry. And you know how to teach or rethink ministry? When it happens. Yeah. When it happens. So it ain't even based on my abilities to speak, because I've done that. It's based on what happens in you, in us. That's it. A lot of people are never going to face their past, their hurts, their problems, their calling, and they're going to be angry about it, and they're going to destroy, and they're going to hide, and they're going to... When we want to show the world it's something real, you know what? This really did change my life. God did answer my life. We got to build a church like that. So, church today, honestly, and outside the church, you got to get outside the church to understand the people outside the church and why they ain't coming. Because they think church is irrelevant. I can even get it on TV. I can get it on my computer. I watch sermons on my TV and computer all the time. But you know what's missing there? This. Family. Standing together. Hurting together. Loving together. Fighting the devil together. If you omit the body of God, some part of you is missing. And I realize God takes you out for a while into the wilderness. I get it. Me and Dave understand that. Shelley, but He brings you back. And what He does in you, what He's done in you, is to bring you back to be something to make it stronger and more bolder. In places, church draws a crowd. But I don't know where that fire and love and Spirit of God is when they walk outside the church. And it said that, I've used this statistic, 87% of people in church, these are church-going people, don't know, and oh wait, I'm going to update this number in a minute, 87% don't know their purpose in life, who attend church. If 9 out of 10 people in church don't know God's purpose while they were created, oh my goodness. Pastor, you have failed. And that same passage in Revelations, you go a couple more verses later, it said, Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock. What door is He standing at of your heart? He's talking about the heart of the church. He's talking about the heart of the Christian. I'm not there. Let me in. I'll come in and dine with you. I'll come in and sup with you. But He says, I'm not there. But that's a 1,000-pound gorilla in the room. You know, the 1,000-pound gorilla, the one that's in the room is so big and powerful and mean that nobody wants to acknowledge it. You just feel like it's not there. Hallelujah, amen. And the gorilla's right here. And because God said, my Spirit is in it there. Amen, hallelujah. There's a gorilla right there because Jesus said that my Spirit ain't there. And you know what? You know the biggest was, I ain't gonna say it this way, I'm gonna say it a different way. You know what's so great about church today? It's so easy. It's so easy. I mean, in an hour you get your praise on, you get your worship on, you get your sermon. We sing for you, we preach for you, and if you come back on Wednesday night, we'll even give you a discipleship class. And now, you tell them about discipleship, and if you're in one of the newer churches, you have a discipleship track. You have a discipleship 101, 201, 301. When you get to the 401, you go to a graduate, they give you a certificate. This says you have graduated, you are a disciple. Praise God, they got classes, but you know what? That don't make a person a disciple. That's knowledge. But until you live that, until it becomes real to you, until you stand on that, that's when you become a disciple. You know who makes you a disciple? Life. God. I can teach you all day long. But if I do everything for you, I make it easy. Here's your classes, here's this. I mean, is that really, is that the answer? Is the answer making it so easy that people aren't inconvenienced? I think God says, if you have to make it so inconvenient that you have to go to their house to preach to them one-on-one, it ain't worth nothing. Go back to where you come from. Because if they ain't going to put nothing in it, they ain't going to give you that. You know what you get out of something? What you put into it. And if you don't, we have made it so easy. And one of the churches that started this was Willow Creek up in Chicago. They started this seeker-sensitive driven, where you don't push people, it's hands off, we make it so easy. And the whole nation followed, the whole world followed. And then when the pastor got done up there, they changed pastors, and they put out I told this church this, they put out 3 words in a press release. After doing this for 20 years, 22 years, of this, the model that every church right now in America is using, every mega church is using this model, they said, we were wrong. They made it so easy. They didn't speak hard, they didn't speak harsh, they didn't speak the deep truth. They made it easy. They did everything for you, and after 22 years they realized they made the biggest church of baby Christians they'd ever seen, because nobody ever grew up. Nobody ever matured. Nobody ever had a faith. Nobody could stand against the fire. Nobody could stand in the fire. But we want the pastor to do it. We want you to teach your children. I'm not called to teach your children. Read your Bible. Who is supposed to teach their children? Yes. What is the church there for? To empower you to be the parent you need to be, and to help you find that so you can put it into them. Now I get it, we want to have youth ministries. I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is the responsibility of your relationship with God is you, and what you do put into it. And by me babying you, by us making it so easy. Now here's the deal, transformation, this is what this church is about. Changing people's lives. Now that's where it ain't on my time. That's where it's not on my schedule. And if you look at me, well, Jeff, you're not pushing people hard enough. You're not making them change. You understand what you're saying? I got to push them. I got to make them. Why haven't they changed? That's between them and God. If I give people the food, and we invest, and we pray, and we fight for each other, love each other, that's what the responsibility is too. Tell me if I'm wrong or right. But here's the deal. Is Jesus give us salvation free? Yes! It's free, baby! It's free! Right? Satan in the world is why Jesus came. His purpose wasn't to make it easy. You know what Jesus' purpose was when he came? To make it possible. It wasn't to make it easy, to make it possible. What did he make possible? That we could come to God. But what did it cost him to make it possible? His life. It ain't easy. And if you're going to change your life, it ain't easy. And I can help you, encourage you, and Shelly would tell you, they would tell you, Dana would tell you. I know Grandma could probably tell you, she looks like she's kept her kids in line, because that granddaughter of hers is pretty sharp over there. I know James has, because I've listened to his son. Every time I give him a son, he can't stop talking about God. And man, he lays out chapter and verse, and my point is this. Jesus didn't die to make it easy. Jesus died is what makes it real. Watch this. There really was somebody who died for us. And that made it possible. It made it real. And if you want me to give you something easy, or are you going to give you what's real? You're going to have to face that past. You're going to have to face that hurt. You're going to have to carry that cross. You know what? You don't have to carry it along. We're going to carry it with you. It ain't easy. But it is possible. Why is it possible? Because Jesus gives us His power and authority. He overcome death. He overcome sin. It is possible. That's what makes it real. The transformation is messy. But if every time you hit that wall and you give up, you quit, you go back to that sin, you get angry at God, you go back, if every time that happens, it's been on the merry-go-round. So my goal, honestly, isn't, and the way I speak, isn't to make it easy. My goal is to make it real.
Right.
And if you've been listening to me, I make it real. This is what you're facing. But here's where God's in it. And here's where real. So what's in the name? Where did Fifth Vision get its name? If you've never heard that, here you go. Fifth Vision. Zechariah chapter 4. Zechariah the prophet had 8 visions in one night. Guess where we take, and those 8 visions, guess which one we took our name from? The fifth one. Now the key is, what was the story about the fifth vision? Zechariah's fifth vision was a vision for a man named Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was called by God to rebuild the church. The church in that day, Solomon's temple had been destroyed. The people were in bondage. The people were coming back, but there was nowhere to go to church. That place, you sit there every day. People walk by the church. It had no power. It had no glory. It was there, and everybody saw it. But it's kind of what you don't talk about. But Zerubbabel says, I'm tired of seeing it being broken. I'm tired of seeing it being destroyed. I'm going to rebuild this. God gave him a calling to rebuild it. So a bunch of people got together with him and said, okay, we're going to rebuild the temple. All right? They had enough money and they had enough resources to rebuild the foundation. And then for 17 years, there was no money, no nothing. Not one block was laid upon another. It looked like it was over. It looked like this wasn't God's calling. It looked like Zerubbabel might have heard God wrong. Maybe it was time just to go home and give up on this dream. I mean, you've had a dream you've been chasing your whole life. And it looks like it's dead. It looks like it's over. And well, that's what happened here. But in this story about the fifth vision, the message to Zerubbabel was this. The hand that started it. It's the hand that's going to finish it. Y'all was sick for 5 years. I lost everything. I was cast me out. In the denomination I come out of, I was it. I was the man. I was honored. I was loved. Started a new church, third largest that year. Bam, off the bat, right at the top. You know, when I used to walk in, nobody knew me. Now everybody was coming to me. How did you do that? How did you start? How do you get the people to come? How do you get these kids to come? Everybody wanted to know. I was the man. Then I got sick. Lost it all. Lost myself. Lost all my friends. I didn't leave my house for 5 years. I was that sick. I couldn't think. I was always in fear. I was always anxious. I was depressed. And I don't mean depressed. I mean if the news was on and it said it was going to rain, I really thought we were going to die in a flood. And I could not control those thoughts. I saw the economy getting bad, and I'm going to lose our house. We're going to lose our house. We're going to be out there. We're going to be hungry. I mean, my retirement pay covered the house payment and the food. I mean, we're fine. But you understand, I was absolutely paranoid. I couldn't write a one-sentence text message. I could not carry on a conversation. When Jeru's friends would come to the house, I would go to the bedroom and I wouldn't come because I couldn't even face people because I could not do this. Dana would sit and hold me. She'd come home from work and she would hold me until I fell asleep that night. 5 years, I could not function. 5 years of it's gone. 5 years of it's over. And why did that happen? Somebody said something to me this weekend. Well, everything had to be poured completely out. All the hurt, all the pain, all my own dreams, all my own wants. It had to be God. No matter what comes. No matter if they come and tie me up this morning and burn me at the stake, I'm okay with that. The hand that started it, God told me, is the hand that's going to finish it. So we started trying to name names. We had a group of us, the ones that were helping, and we were trying to come up with a name. And so I put it to a group thing that we could do it together. When the vision's yours, the vision's yours. That's what I've learned. Don't let somebody else name their vision. So we were going to be Upstate Alive. Woohoo! And it was a good name. A good name. If you're doing a test in the community, it would have passed the marketing test. Oh, people like that name. Oh, except there was another group from 1995 that used that name, not for a church, but now we can't use it. Now I spent all this money on banners, all this money on shirts. I spent $20,000 on graphics and everything. Man, and I know it's not the name. I know it's not it. But we were like, ah! Yeah, that's a $20,000 mistake I'll pay for until, for a while now. But I knew. But here's the deal. God has a dream. God has a purpose for your life. And even if it's your own family, your own immediate family doesn't get it, you've got to be true to God, because the God who started in you is the God who's going to finish it in you. Now, what is Fifth Vision about? It's turning the triangle upside down. I've always done it this way. I invest in people. I want to open doors for people. I want people to find themselves. So the church and the church staff isn't about you building my vision and come build my thing. I want 10,000 people. It's upside down. How do I help you build what God has in you? How do I help you find what's inside of you? How do I help you connect? How do you grow? How do I empower you? How do I invest in you? This is what we're about. And the leaders of the church need to know that's what it's about. And going forward, that's the only way you will lead here. It ain't about you, leader. It is about helping people, the 87% who are in church and lost. Because this is what I know about church. Zerubbabel, the church was in physical ruins. When you talk to people one-on-one, being a pastor was you think pastors got it all together. Until you become one and you hang around them and you realize they're more messed up than you are. I went to school. Mr. Dave in the back who's been the Dave, am I crazy? Or are they more messed up than we are?
They're messed up.
Right. Oh, that was a rude awakening. I thought this was going to be good. And God did me wrong. When I stepped out to do youth ministry that first time, I was absolutely in the perfect church the first time. They believed in me. They gave me the world. In fact, the youth pastor stepped down so I could be the youth pastor. He was also the worship leader. And we did, and we changed it was beautiful. And so I go, hey, go to the next church. They went me from Charleston to Virginia Beach. And what in the heck just happened? You people don't believe. You people don't invest. You don't get my heart. You don't get what can happen. You don't. And I fought it. And I thought, yeah, God, what's wrong? Yeah, God did me wrong by showing me something really special the first time out. My vision isn't to restore the building as much as to restore people. That's what we're here for. Why do I need you to heal? Why do I need you to grow? Why do I need you to find it? Because there's somebody you're supposed to reach. There's something inside of you you're supposed to become and do. And if I don't invest in you and I don't help you find it, and if God don't come, and He will come. So it's a vision. It truly is a vision that's focused on rebuilding people. Right? The broken, the confused, the lost, the ones who just don't have a clue. People who spiritually lay in ruins. Now here's the deal. The lost, the broken, the confused, those without meaning, without purpose, both, here's the word, both those dying in the world without God, we got to reach them. And we got to reach the ones that are out there and they're angry and they're hurt. But here's the other one. But also those dying sitting in the pews. Because I found out when 87% of the church don't know their purpose, then you got 87% of people, they're actually frustrated. Yeah. They're actually broken and they don't even know it. Well, they know it, but they ain't going to tell you because it's not okay to say those things. But you clap and you shout, and that was a good sermon, pastor, and you go home, and what happens when you're on your deathbed and you wonder, man, I should have done X, Y, Z. Why didn't a pastor, why didn't a Christian, why didn't a brother or sister help you see that when you were younger so you could follow that purpose?
Yeah.
And purpose isn't a job, guys. Purpose isn't a job. If all Jason can do is take a kid fishing, a next door neighbor's kid fishing, all right, and he does that, and that kid grows up and he goes off to off to school. There he goes off, and he goes off to the Navy. And then there's another kid, and there's another kid. If all he does is take a kid fishing and talk about fishing and hunting, maybe that's God's purpose. Maybe that talk, maybe those talks, that kid found his purpose in life. That kid found a reason to live. That kid felt love. Because without Jason in his life, there is no love. There is nobody who cares. There is no investment. Being in God's will isn't standing in front preaching. Is absolutely in somebody's life making a difference, guys. But who's letting people find this and help people find it? You see where we're going with all this? But redemption and healing, we got to redeem the world. You know, I remember growing up in rock and roll. You do not listen to rock and roll, you're going to hell. You know how many times I say to church, I brought in a special speaker? Y'all seen them growing up? Okay, yeah, I know you're going to hell. I can't help it, I like rock and roll. I like the sound. But change the lyrics and make it Jesus, baby. Well, it's a systematic, what do they call it? They put houseplants. I know the study they did, they put houseplants and they played Bach. They put houseplants in another room and they played rock and roll and they let it bang. And you know what happened? Nothing. They both live. You get it? I don't know how I got on that. Oh, I know now.
Wrap it all.
We redeem the music. You understand? What the devil, what's good is from God. Yes. And if the devil owns it, he stole it. Yes. So we take it back. Redeeming the music, redeeming the land, redeeming a person, redeeming the church. Stuff I've already told you. Isaiah 61:4. And remember, Isaiah 1 through 3 is Jesus saying, I am the anointed one. I am the chosen one. I am I'm going to redeem the world. So it's Isaiah 61, 1 through 4. But I want to focus on verse 4. They will rebuild the ancient ruins. I thought Jesus rebuilt everything. Jesus did everything. No. Jesus reaches you. He heals you. He redeems your life. You commit your life. And you got Jesus in you. You got the Holy Spirit in you. You got that Word of God in you. And he said, they will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. Who is going to save your community? Who's going to save the people on your street? Who's going to save your school? Who's going to save your work? Who? Is it Jesus? Well, yeah, it's Jesus. But you know how he's going to do it? You. They. You are they. If I'm not empowering you as a pastor for you to go do this, I need to hey, great sermon, pastor. You know what? I could care less. I want to see in 5 years whether that sermon mattered. Because one person will say, Jim, that's the best sermon ever. The next person will go, I've heard better, and walk out. Or I hate you. No. We're trying to teach you and empower you so you can change the world. Not so you can bring them to me. No, you bring them to church, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I want that. But when I grew up in youth ministry, you know how we grew those youth groups to be as big as they were? On them. They reached their families. They reached their friends. You know how they reached their family and friends? They went to school and they went home different. They had something in them. They went home different. And we were in this together. You know, we're in this together, and we're going to save your families. We're going to save your school, and nobody else is going to hang themselves. Nobody else is going to shoot themselves. Nobody else is going to not be unloved. We're going to make a place where people are loved and accepted, and God's going to change them. And that was the attitude, and that's how we lived, and that's how we did this all these years. How do I put this in a bunch of adults who are broken, who need to be healed first before all this other stuff can happen? Kids can overcome things. Kids, they just like water off the, but us, sometimes it takes a lot more. We got bad habits. We got hurts that have to be undone. We got voices in our head. We got things. But that's my part. That's the part I can help you in your life. But here's the outcome is not that hey, you're a great pastor. You did this for me. The outcome is that you found your purpose. You're changing the world. Haley's sitting there. As a nation, God wants to use Haley to build a nation. I want to access she's got the teenagers that you and I don't have. You know what Dave's got access to at the gym? You know what you got access to? Same thing, just different. If you're a grandma, Keep encouraging your caring kids. Keep showing them something real. Keep showing them something different. Keep praying, because the world is a mess. Isaiah 61, 1 through 4 is at the very core of what we do. Fearless. This can get me in trouble, so I want to be real careful how I say it. A church better be fearless in this day and time. You better speak the truth, but you better speak it in love. I might not agree with certain lifestyles because the Bible says one thing, but if I do it out of condemnation, out of destruction, out of hate and anger, and elevating us above God and people's lifestyle choices and how they, I've already missed the mark, because the enemy is not people. The enemy is not the people who don't think like you, look like you, dress like you, act like you. You know what the enemy is? The enemy is the one that's got you so judging them, so beating them down. They're never going to come to God. They're never going to see Jesus. And if they don't come together to see Jesus, out this, didn't we do this in your name? I don't know you. Where is the heart of God in the church? Fearless. You got to stand against the corruption in the church and outside the church, even if nobody gets it. So if you stand against the government because they're wrong and they crucify you, well, they crucified him. If you stand for the right thing inside the church and they crucify you, well, good. It was the church people that crucified him. When you know you're following God, Chris. Nobody in your family gets it but you. A Christian needs to be fearless today, okay, guys? But what God is doing in the end times talks about two things. The great falling away. That's been happening for generations. It's fall. People are going away, falling away. They're changing the doctrine. That's happening. The other one is that great awakening I keep talking about. It is a revolution. It is, the culture in America has to change, and it is changing. Why is all of a sudden going to get exposed? It's going to make your head spin. All of a sudden it's going to come out in this month and the next few months. You are going to be sick at your stomach with the things you're going to learn. Listen to me. It's that bad. It is that ugly. And here's the deal. Why would God do that? He wants to expose it. Because who's going to lead that end time revival? Who is the Christian nation in the world? Who is the Christian leader in the world? Who was dedicated to God, to Christianity, to Christ at our inception? America. Who is going to lead this end time revival, this great awakening around the universe? We are. And not just every church in America, but what the Bible calls the remnant. The remnant. What is the remnant? The remnant will lead that great awakening, that great revival. What is the remnant? The ones who aren't just going to church and patting themselves on the butt. The ones who aren't fighting the devil. The ones who get that this is life and death, and what's happening in the world is a spiritual war. And we better make a difference. We better get involved. And that church ain't been alive in a long time. But God is raising it up. And it's no one's exposing the corruption, but when you remove the corruption, the real thing can rise up. And I want to be a part of that, guys. I want to be a part of that. I don't want to miss that. I don't want you to miss that. But if you're still hung up on what happened when you were a kid, or what happened here, or you're still in fear, you will miss that. I'm not going to let that happen. Now, here's the deal. This revolution, is it a revolution that's happening in our country? You wait and see. Because that's what they call it, Red October. It's a long story behind it. I'll explain that in a future sermon. Is the story to do what's right. You understand? You have to inspire people today to do what's right. But everything's changing, guys. Listen to me. This revolution, Jesus had a revolution. You get that, right? Jesus was standing face to face with what was in the literal gates of hell in the pagan world. That was David. Philippi, what's it called? Jesus. Jesus is standing at the cave.
That's not Gehenna.
Caesarea Philippi, thank you. Hey, okay, all right, well, I'm here to catch up. Actually, I had to back up. I was like 3 points ahead. He's standing at Caesarea Philippi. Now, if you go look it up, in that day when Jesus was born, when they worshiped the devil, they went to this cave. It's still there. It's just north of Israel, Lebanon area, Lebanon, Jordan, right in that little corner, right? It's there, right? It doesn't look like nothing like it used to. But that day and time, that was the gateway to hell. That was the gateway to the demonic. That is where they made sacrifices. That is where they, supposedly saw all these creatures from the, was it a gateway to hell? I don't know, but they recognized it as such. So when Jesus stands, it says we're at Philippi, he stands right here. I mean, him and the 12, right here at that gate. What gate is he standing at? The gates of hell. And he goes, who am I? Who do the people say I am? Some say this and some say that. But who do you say I am? You're neither the Messiah, you're the Savior, you're Jesus. And upon this rock, Jesus, the gates of hell, he's standing at the gates of hell, will not prevail. What really transpired there? What really transpired there is this. On this rock I'll build my church, the gates of hell not overcome it. This was the place, and this was the charge that Jesus gave his church. To stand fearlessly in the face of darkness and evil, whether it's in the church, out of the church, in government, no matter what, we are to stand fearlessly in the face of evil. And the gates of hell will not prevail. You know when the gates of hell will prevail? When we lay down. So that, to me, is the essence of fifth division. It's an attitude, guys. It's a personality. It's who are we as Christians? It is that there is a purpose in our life. And there's a purpose for this church. And this church was built for the end times. We weren't built for 1940s or even 2015 and before. We were built going forward for what's to come. What is to come? That great revival. Who's going to hurt that great revival? Well, first of all, you got to see that people are broken, people are hurting, and people aren't loved. And if you don't see it, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. But God has been raising up churches just like ours. And you know what? They're in a fight just like us. People who don't get it. People who don't understand. But we need to understand. Now, almost done, guys. Now, what is the vision statement? You know it. To lead a revolution. This was done 6 years ago before we started using this revolution around here. To transform the hard focus of face of ministry. It ain't so much churches as ministry. How do you love? How do you heal? How do you redeem? How do you deliver? How do you do that? Because people aren't getting delivered. People aren't getting healed. People aren't finding their purpose. We got to look at ministry and go, you know what? That ain't working. What does work? God lead us to the truth. And that led to the Empire sessions. And that's led to how we counsel. That's led to a lot of things. We have been watching people change and heal. All right? The mission statement. The mission is how you build your vision. Building spiritually passionate Christians. Stop. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't show any passion. All right? I don't raise my hand. I didn't grow up in one of them churches. I didn't either. They said amen, but they didn't raise their hands. But they say amen. But here's the deal. Building spiritually passionate Christians who are engaged in influencing and redeeming the world in the power and authority of the Holy Spirit. Church today doesn't know the power and authority of the Holy Spirit. People aren't passionate about the lost. I told you guys the story about a pastor friend of mine who was speaking in front of all these pastors, 10,000 at least, and that was sitting in that auditorium in Atlanta, and he was talking about how many lost people were going to die and go to hell. You know, it's all pastors and youth pastors and church staff. Nobody went, oh, they're all dying. Nothing. And he realized he didn't have their attention. They didn't get it. You know, and I told you what he said next? He said the S word when you go take a bathroom movement. He put his papers down, and you can watch it on the internet if you really want to watch it. And I'm going to tell you know what happened? When he said people are dying and going to hell, they didn't breathe. They didn't move. They didn't think. There's no amens. There's no God help us. You know what happened when he said the S word? Boy, they were shouting, and they were mad, and they were getting up and walking out. They were, in religious terms, they were cussing him out, just not cuss words, okay? And he told him, he says, look how motivated you are. Where is the passion and fire? Why did it have to be that I said a bad word before it got passionate out of church people? And if the church leadership isn't passionate, who is passionate? We got to change the heart of church. If I got a Christian who will never stand, never fight, and I ain't going to tell you how to fight and when to stand, but the thing is, where is the if you have true passion in you, You are engaged. And if we are not influencing the world, it's influencing us. If we aren't redeeming the world, we're losing the world. We have to influence and redeem the world. Some of my best workers all these years in youth ministry, you know what my best workers were? I think it is.
The people?
Yeah, I had Virginia Beach First Church of God of Anderson. We had, my staff was almost 34 people, 32, 34 people on staff. But you know who my best workers were? No. Grandma. Oh, we have a youth pastor over here going,
Yeah.
No, the kids were leading their own ministry, but who supported them? Who made the cookies? Who did take them fishing? Who had them over for dinner after church? You guys get it? There is a role for everybody to play. And if one person is not giving and not loving and not mentoring, I'm going to tell you, as a parent, you think that, parents say, well, Jim, they listen to you, they don't listen to me. Yo, the devil's been talking in your ear too much. Now, I have an influence, but if you're telling them the right things, I'm telling them the same things. So I'm reinforcing what you're putting in them. But here's the deal. If I'm putting the right things in them and you're putting the wrong thing in them, I'll never overcome that. Them and God might overcome that. You get it? But when I have people that will love and nurture them, you know why? People like who don't really have kids, why do grandparents work so well? They had no reason to be there except that they loved and they wanted to be there. You know what happens when kids know that you're just there because you want to be there? The guard goes down. And you build a relationship that matters deeper than you could ever build if you were a professional. You guys get it? That's the church we got to build. That's the heart of this church. That's where we're going. What good is we got 150 kids, 1,000 kids if those things aren't happening? Everybody's got something to give. Yeah. All right, so what? Now, core value is something I say we die for. If a corporation has these are our core values, they're saying is we will die for that before we will change it. This is what I'll die for before I change it. Guys got it? All right, here we go. Building a culture of transformation. Dude, if it ain't changing people's lives, it ain't investing in people, and people aren't healing, people aren't growing, people aren't thriving, if people aren't going out, no. Got to be that. Core values, transformational leadership. What is transformational leadership? You know how I pick at people and play with people and make them laugh and goofy and be, I make this beautiful mind and body look like a clown for y'all to laugh so y'all feel better. It is hard. You know what I'm talking about, Bobby, don't you? Yeah. Robbie's a semi-professional or a professional wrestler, and wrestling ain't real. And if you've been watching TV this whole time thinking wrestling, it ain't. Well, any children in here? Okay. It ain't real. But boy, you'd never know that by him being on stage because, man, yeah, especially when that size 9 would come across his head about a month ago. And it wasn't supposed to happen. Transformational leadership. That's that turning that triangle upside down where the leaders, you invest, you build. You don't wait for people to invest in you and build in you. We will do this in each other. Transformational leadership, you believe something in somebody, you see them the way Jesus sees them, you invest in them to find themselves, and you empower them to live it, even if they turn on you later. Transformational leadership, you're building something. Transformational teaching and preaching, what I mean by that, it's pretty simple. It used to be that you know like about Justin back there. Justin is everything I was when I started ministry. I had more hair. I was in the Navy, so I didn't have the beard. Other than that, he did the 2 escapes, right? In youth ministry, that's what I did. It came alive. They saw it, they felt it, they lived it, they connected to their life. I get it. And that's good. That's transformational teaching and preaching, where it comes alive, where they can see it, they feel it, they see themselves, they see God. If I give you a Bible story, but you don't see yourself, you don't see where God's working in your life, I have failed you. Because those lessons, those sermons are in your family. They're in your relationships. They're in you. But where is it? Oh, I had a good history lesson at church today. No. Where is God doing that in our society? Where is God doing that in our church? Where is God doing that in you? Transformational relationships. This is the touchy one. This is the one that I've been reevaluating. Where I put a lot of faith in people to minister to one another, love one another, pray for one another. But you know what? That's what I stand on. I don't heal people. We don't heal people. But here's the he heals people. But the thing is, he uses a community. When Dave Davis said it, and it's what I live by. When I walk into the church and people are already praying over here and praying over there and praying over here. When I'm in the parking lot and people are laughing and hugging, and you know they were total strangers the week before. When I hear people encouraging one another, building one another, I built the right church. It ain't about what I do, what the staff does. It's about what you do. Life transformation. If you ain't going to see it here but about a year, year and a half, and if you don't want to heal and you don't want to grow, you're going to get mad and you're going to walk out that door. I ain't changing the way I preach it because I know this. If I don't call you, I don't challenge you, you're probably not going to rise up. If I don't invest in you, then you're not going to believe it. And you probably can't make it because the devil's telling you can't make it. You can't change. Well, I'm going to make that investment in you. We're going to make an investment in each other. That's why the leadership, the teaching, and the relationships all come together and people's lives are transformed because God's in all of it. All of it. All of it. All right. So where am I going with this? All right. Team-driven ministry. I believe in a team. But I got to teach that team from the very beginning now better than I've ever done it. They got to have the right heart, the right motive. I have to have the right heart and the right motive, the right agenda. And we got to build leaders. I already told you, the story in the Navy where the Master Chief detailer wanted me to come to hit the ship that he was going to be on. He was going to be the Master Chief. I would be his petty officer in charge, first class. And he told me he was building the Alpha team, the best CIC warfare team that the Navy had ever seen because he's a detailer. He can pick and choose everybody under him, right? He was going to build the greatest team that ever happened. He was going to build the Avengers. But even they fought each other. Remember that? Okay. Yeah, but I knew that. So he wanted me to lead it. He put me in charge of it, but that's not what I wanted. And we made a deal that I would pray about it and think about it. And then if I didn't want it, then he would give me whatever I wanted. So anyway, I thought about it. I knew I was going to do it, but I thought about it, prayed about it. Dana prayed about it. Why didn't I go to that ship? Bunch of people with all these who think they're alphas. They're going to fight. They're going to fight for authority. They're going to fight for power. They're going to undermine each other. They're going to destroy one another. What you're going to have with a team like that is nothing but destruction. And right before they were commissioned on their first little out to the cruise, they went by St. Martin and the Virgin Islands. You know what they did when they left? They ran aground. The best ship ever built in the Navy's history ran aground their first time out. How do you have the best of the best and run aground? What they found out is they were in combat fighting. I don't need the best of the best. You know what I need? I need people with the right heart. Yeah. Why did Jesus go after the 12? They weren't the best of the best. They were chosen to be rabbis. These were fishermen, these were people who weren't good enough. But what did they have in them? They had a drive, they had a heart, and they were following something bigger than them, and they wanted that. That's what I want. That's what I want. Core values, the God factor. I don't care how good you preach it, Jeff. I don't care how good we sing it. What is God? What is the things that God's doing that only God can do? That's how I'm going to measure us. Anybody can preach, honestly. Anybody can sing, honestly. Might not be as good as others. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter how good we do it. And that's what I ask people. I go to church over here, and we did this, and we give this much money to this society. We give this much money, and we're this many number of people. I go, oh, okay, all right. I hear what your church is doing, but what are you doing for God? Yeah. They never have an answer because their church is giving this money. Their church is making a difference. Their church is feeding the hungry. What are you doing? And the people, I've never had an answer. Ever. Listen to me. Ever. I've done this hundreds of times. You see the difference? I need a church of 10 people to 10,000 who are living it. Because when we start living it, the God things happen like a cross on a window that wasn't there the night before. when the tree should have killed you to start with. You pray protection over the house. A cross appears. You're protected. Wow. God. Where are the God things? Make it real. You already know that. I'm going to make it real. Stand, protect, defend the truth of God. Jeremiah 1:10. See, I have this day set before you over nations and over kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. What is coming? I have put you in this position, church, Christian, to be different. Stand for the truth, love, be the real thing. And if no other church will stand for the truth and everybody else changes their doctrine, we're not. But every other church ain't loving either. We will. God's got it. Challenge the status quo. Traditions. I have no problem with traditions until they get in the way of God. Until they stop God. I know what Grandma did. I know what Grandpa did. And I got a lot of their practices. But the thing is, if that stops ministry, what good is it? People said you can't be a pastor when I was young, growing up, because you come from the wrong family. You don't talk like they do. You don't act like they do. You don't have the education like them. You can't do this. Watch me. Watch me. You guys get it? I'm not being rebellious. I'm challenging the status quo. You can't, you say kids, you just parade kids up at Christmas. No. Just parade the teenagers up at, up at Christmas. No. We use teenagers to build a 2,500 member youth group. 2,500 kids coming together to praise Jesus and change the world and their families and everything. That was just the kids. That's not brother and sister of the children. That's not even, you understand what I'm telling you? You can't be done. You watch me. Because if God puts it on you, God opens the door. There ain't nothing you can't do. People say you can't save your kid. You can't save. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Challenge the status quo. Don't tell me I can't. My God gave me this promise. My God said He would heal me, and that's where I'm going to stand. And I'm going to stop listening to the lies, and I'm going to stop listening to the fools and the idiots, and I'm going to stand in God, and I'm going to live in God. You know what? When I'm done, I'm not going to say, look what I did, because I know I wasn't the one that did it, because this was a God thing. Because you were right. I shouldn't have been able to do that. Shelley shouldn't have been able to do that. Melissa shouldn't have been able to do that. But when God's in it, baby, the glory of God is that. We will challenge the status quo. And if nobody stands for the truth, we will stand for the truth. Even if we're the only one standing in front of the flagpole, it's Spartanburg. We'll do that. Now, this will get me in a little bit of trouble. We value a safe place and a dangerous place. What is a safe place? Here we go. This is a safe place, where the hurting, the broken, the misunderstood, the rejected, the misfit, even those who are non-believers will feel safe. Christians will always feel safe in the house of God. But everybody else should come in here and feel safe. And they will feel safe. And if you remove that where it's not safe, it won't be long the door will find you. If we can't love people here, and if people aren't safe here, why are we here? But on the flip side, do we baby people? It needs to be a dangerous place. Now, what do I mean by that? Hey, you come in here, the love is going to change you, baby. The Spirit of God is going to get you. Yes. It's a dangerous thing, baby. It might be fake down the street, but in here, we shouted that way, we prayed that way, we preached that way, we were motivated that way. We crazy as Shelley with her fake red hair. I mean, it's the only thing in this place that ain't real is the color of her hair. All right? Everything else is real, baby. I was the kid that nobody loved. I was the kid. Shelley was the kid that was beat, abused, and thrown away. But you know what God did? God changed it. That is real. That is the power of God. That power of God makes this a dangerous place. And if you try to stop that, oh, no. No. I will protect that. I will fight for that. Amen. Even if I'm the only one here and I'm by myself. Dr. Michael Brown said this. He's from Charlotte. He's a pastor. He said, I have often prayed that the Lord would make me dangerous. Dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, dangerous to the devil, dangerous to the dead religion, dangerous to the status quo of a sinning world. Well, I don't want us to be a dangerous church. Who's going to put their life on the line? One of my favorite stories in the Bible. I got 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6, or maybe 50. I don't know. Shelly asked me one time, what is 1? And I gave her 1, and she wrote it down last year. The numbers. But then I go, we have Amos 3:12. Amos. And there's a story of a shepherd in Amos, and the shepherd goes to the mouth of the lion. He's trying to save that lamb. The lamb's in the mouth of the lion, right? You get it? And it says that the shepherd instinctively went to save that lamb. But he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know if he could save it. He put his hands in the mouth of the lion. And the word says, in Amos it says that he saved a piece of an ear bone, 2 pieces of a leg bone and a piece of an ear. He couldn't save it. He got there too late. It was devoured. But the man stuck his hands, the shepherd stuck his hands in the mouth of the lion. And then it says that's how the Israelites living in Samaria. Samaria is the rejected, the broken, the not good enoughs, the list of people who don't feel safe in church. Get it? That is how they'll be saved. Who's going to be a shepherd like that? That you'll put your hand in the mouth of the lion. Because when the lion is done with the lamb, what is the lion going to do if your hands are in his mouth? He's going to turn on you. Yeah. Yeah, you guys get it? So here's what we got to know as a church. To make this a dangerous place, the enemy's going to attack us. The enemy's going to try to stop you. But when you have a shepherd's heart, when you have a heart to build a church like that, when you are a church like that, it doesn't matter what the enemy does. You'll pay the price. Now, are you going to be devoured by a real lion? Hope not. If we did, things have really changed in our country, okay? But at least I prepared you for it. I hope. You guys get it? It has to be safe. But people got to find truth and love and healing. Or what good is it being safe? The last thing on this list, the last thing on this list is we value the journey. You know the greatest part about being a Christian is heaven. Not the daughter, but she is beautiful back there. Hey, heaven. Everybody wave at heaven. Everybody, hey, heaven. Everybody's waving. Hey, heaven. Man, that's our reward, right? Ain't our reward heaven for this life? Ain't that what it's all about, getting that ticket to heaven? Ain't that right, David? And you've been looking at me funny since you walked in today. He was like, I ain't helping him out at all. I ain't giving him no feedback. I had to deal with Shelly all weekend. I'm not happy. No, that's our ticket, heaven. Everybody wants heaven, right? Yeah, but here's the deal. You know what the beautiful part about going to heaven is the journey. Who are you taking with you? Who did you love along the way? Who did you befriend? Who did you change their life? And you know the opposite of that. I ain't told it no opposite. I'm going to use it. What's one thing worse than going to hell? Taking somebody with you. So there's one thing better than going to heaven is taking somebody with you. The journey is what you will. Can you imagine being in heaven? You've been there 1,000 years, 10,000 years, and here comes Jason. You know, here comes Anna. And you know, we knew what we lived through together. You know what? We faced a few lions and a few bears and a few Pharisees, a few Judases. We faced a few Goliaths. But you know what we did? We did that together! And we did that for Jesus! Man! The journey is the most beautiful thing there is. But we got to build a place where it's safe and dangerous. And that's my sermon. So here's my deal. Why did I call this sermon, Do Not Fear the Fire? Jesus said in Revelation 3:18, I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire. People don't want to pay the price. I'm afraid of the fire. It's just going to hurt. The change. It's going to hurt to be different. It's going to hurt. Not the fire. I mean, I've got to change. God's got to change. Y'all know change is change hurts, right?
Yeah.
Transformation hurts. Do not fear the fire. Don't fear the fire, guys. Because one day you're going to regret that you never gave God everything. Don't fear the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked into the fire. Right? They walked into the fire. There were 3 of them, right? When they went and looked in the furnace, there were 4. Who was walking with them? Son of Man. Don't fear the fire. Daniel was in the lion's den. Don't fear the lion. Trust that God's got you. Whether you did it wrong or you did it right, or it's your fault or somebody else's fault, or if people abandon you or you hurt them, trust the Lord and face the fire. All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for this morning. And Lord, I know it was long, but God, this is my heart. This is what you have taught, not only me, but you put it in people. And God, it is what we'll die for. It is what we'll fight for. Because it is of you that we want to do this. We want to build something so grassroots that they say, you know what? He wasn't smart enough to build that. They weren't good enough. They weren't spiritual enough. Because that's what they told Job. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. They told Nehemiah, come on off down that wall. Yeah, that wall is so flimsy that even if a fox jumps on it, it's going to fall. Just come on down. Come on down. Get off that wall. No, we won't get off that wall. No, no, no. No, we won't abandon the call. No. Even if the whole world abandons, Jesus said there with the disciples, and all of them said, this teaching's too hard, and they all left. And he looked at the 12 and he goes, are y'all going to leave me too? God, you called us to something. And there's a whole generation out there. There's a whole nation out there. There's a whole bunch of Jeffs and Haleys and Heavens and Jameses and Jasons, and Lord, there's a whole bunch of Jeffs out there. There's a whole bunch of Willies. And what do they need? They need to see something real. So God, I'm not asking us to fake anything. I'm just asking us to face the fire, let it be real, and let you do in us what only you can do.
That's right.
And Lord, to that, we give you this ministry, we give you this day, we give you this sermon, God, and ask you to do with it what you will. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Love you guys.